Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Darrin with GuitarControl.com bringing you this video lesson. And today I want to kind of do somewhat of a continuation on a lesson I did a week or so ago on an alternate pentatonic scale pattern. And in that video I mentioned that there was another pattern, and so I want to show you what that other pattern is. So be sure to click on the link in the description so you can get the tabs and follow along, and let's get close up and take a look at this. Alright, so in the previous lesson we went over, the pentatonic in the minor pentatonic in the, pattern number 1, which you probably already know. And then I'm doing this in the key of E. So the other day we did this pattern that it's not one of the 5 positions of the pentatonic, but it's just a pattern that more goes across the neck horizontally instead of being like in this little box. So we did this, and then I showed you how to hook them together. Alright, so now what I want to do is I want to show you a third pattern that I like to use that we're going to actually hook to these other 2 patterns, and we'll be able to utilize a really large area of the fretboard. So this pattern is very, very similar to the pattern 2. So we're going to call this one pattern 3. So pattern 1 is the box pattern, and pattern 2 is this horizontal one that begins on the A string. So now what we're going to do is we're basically going to take that pattern, but we're going to start it on the 6th string. And it's going to use that same philosophy that we did before, that, okay, so the A string was, where your root note was, and then you had 3 notes, and then 2, and then 3, and then 2. So we're going to do that same idea, but where this can be a little confusing is that the strings that have 2 notes now have 3 notes, and the strings that had 3 notes now have 2 notes, because we're starting on a string lower. So here we're going to still continue to do this in the key of E. So I'm starting on the 12th fret of the low E with my 3rd finger. And then from there we go to the 10th fret of the A string, 1st finger, then the 12th fret of the A string with 3rd finger, and then the 14th fret of the A string with your 3rd finger. Now we're going to move to the D string, and now we're going to only have 2 notes, so it'll be the 12 and then 14, and now we move to the G string, and it's going to have 3 notes, so 12, 14, 16, and now we move to the B string, 15, 17, and then to the high E, 15, 17, 19. So ascending, the pattern is like this with these fingers. And then just like the other sequence, when we descend it, we're going to use our 3rd finger, our 1st finger, and then when we move down, it'll be our 1st finger that moves down, instead of when we ascend, our 3rd finger is the one. When there's 3 notes on a string, ascending it's 1st, 3rd, 3rd, but when you descend it's 3rd, 1st, 1st. I'm referring to fingers. And if you have not already seen that video, that will probably make this make a whole lot more sense. So go ahead and click right here and you can check that one out. Okay, so ascending, descending, alright, so the first thing you want to do obviously is just get that scale down, memorize it, so that way you can play it ascending and descending without much problem. And then like always, you want to practice it in multiple keys, so that way you're not, you don't inadvertently trap yourself in playing in one key. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to show you how you can hook all 3 of these together. So it's going to work the same way that we did in the other lesson. So we're going to start with pattern 2. So again, I'm going to demonstrate this in the key of E. So we're going to start on the 7th fret of the A string because that's an E. So now, just like in the other sequence, this very last note is the fret that your first finger plays all the same notes on. When you play pattern 1, your first finger plays all the notes on the same fret, right? So we ascend to the top. Now we're going to shift up, so our first finger is on 12 now, and now we're going to descend pattern 1. So 15, 12, 15, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 14, 12, 15, 12. Now we just ended where the first note of pattern 3 is. So now pattern 3 is going to start here. So what we've done is we've went all the way up to the 19th fret, but we've gone as low as the 4th fret. So that's a pretty good chunk of the fretboard that we've covered by only knowing 3 patterns, and technically 2 of them are basically the same thing. So it's just by knowing 2 sequences. So what you want to do with this exercise is practice it, playing through the whole sequence, and then play it backwards. So now, like I said, you want to practice this in multiple keys. So after you have that down, because the tabs are showing it in the key of E minor, so what you're going to want to do is take that that same idea, but just transpose it into a different key. So you could simply at first, just by doing it by playing it, instead of starting on E, starting on D. So we're just going to move it a whole step flat. So now I'm starting on the 5th fret of the A string. Note that I'm playing there with my 3rd finger there on the 10th fret is the fret where your first finger plays all the notes in pattern 1. So I shift up, descend pattern 1, and now we just ended on the root note for pattern 3. So it's going to start on 10 and end on 17. If we were going to transpose it and go to a higher key. So let's say we're going from E, we're just going to move it up a half step to F. Shift up. So as you can see, it's fairly simple to be able to utilize this in your playing. And I did a lesson the other day that had just some various licks and stuff based out of these patterns. So the ones that were based out of pattern 2 can easily be transposed over into playing into pattern 3. So I recommend that you check that one out as well. Alright, so that's all I've got for you today. If you like the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below if you like this kind of stuff, and if this actually kind of helped you out in any way, if it broadened your horizons a little bit with as far as how to use the pentatonic scale. Anyway, leave a comment if there's something you'd like to see either myself or one of the other instructors at guitarcontrol.com do in a future lesson. And that is all I've got for you today. Thanks for watching and have a great day.